Welcome to 2 Cents We See Scary Movies, the podcast where we dive into horror films one theme at a time. Each month we pick a theme and every movie we review fits within that theme, sometimes perfectly and sometimes, well, we try to make it work. I'm Talon, the one who believes every influencer deserves a retreat, preferably the kind with locked doors and poor cell service. And my co-host is Dan, who would definitely survive this movie by pretending to be asleep the moment drama breaks out. You want chaos? He wants a nap. It's New Year's Eve, the power's out, the champagne is flowing, and somebody's about to die. This week we're covering New Year, New You, a Hulu thriller that asks the question, what if your high school besties were just one juice cleanse away from attempted murder? IMDb rating is 5.7 out of 10. New Year, New You was released as part of Hulu's Into the Dark anthology series. All right, so the movie opens with a body floating in a pool. Then we flash back to someone screaming, help me, before flying out a window. Immediately after, we jump to a scene of someone online doing, well, influencer things, fancy transitions, wellness vibes, the whole package. We meet a woman who hosts a show on, and I did not get this one's name. Did you happen to get her name?
No.
Okay.
No, I only watched it once.
Yeah. She hosts a show on some social platform and she introduces Danielle, one of the main characters of the movie. Danielle is a social media influencer with her own line of vegetable juices. She's all about being the real you, and she's constantly spouting mantras and manifestations that supposedly changed her life. So now, of course, she wants to share them with the world. As she does her affirmations, the camera zooms out to reveal someone watching her on a phone. It's a little girl who is clearly obsessed with Danielle. She's repeating all the mantras and bouncing on the couch. She's super excited. Sitting beside her is her babysitter or her nanny. I'm not sure which one she was, who we later find out is named Alexis, another one of the main characters. She has a very distinct scar on the lower left side of her jawline. The nanny tells the little girl to help her clean up before mom gets home, but the kid is way too hyped about Danielle. She can't wait for Danielle's new show to drop. She calls her idol and says she wants to be just like her. Alexis, however, is noticeably unimpressed. The little girl gushes that Alexa is going to be spending New Year's Eve with Danielle. We find out that they used to be friends in high school, but haven't seen each other in a long time. The girl keeps pushing, asking about their past. Alexa says they used to do theater together. Then the kid asks if Alexis quit acting because of her scar, which clearly hit a nerve. But Alexis was like, no.
Yeah.
She says she left acting because she wanted to do something better with her life. And then the little girl is like, then why are you just a babysitter? Like, wow, nice.
You little bitch.
So you can see that really lands.
Right.
It clearly gets under Alexis's skin. Then we cut to Alexis driving. While Alexis is driving to what looks like a pretty nice house, we hear bits and pieces of Danielle's influencer video echoing in her head. Those same mantras and motivational lines, all distorted and distant.
And we got to say that, Danielle is like one of those like really annoying
Oh,
kind of influencers, like,
yes.
intolerable to, oh, hi guys, this is my thing and this is my juices and this is what I do.
Yes. And when she speaks, like her mouth barely opens.
Right.
It was driving me crazy. I'm like, why are you barely opening it? Like, I mean, it's in a full smile all the time, but it's not moving hard. Like her jaw doesn't move hardly. She barely moves her mouth.
Yeah.
It was driving me nuts.
Talking through the smile.
Right. So all these distorted lines and stuff are in her head, and it's clear the stuff really gets to her. It's really kind of gnawing at her. And this happens a lot in this movie where like whatever's going on around her gets drowned out by her thoughts or just overbearing music or whatever. But like she gets into her own head a lot in this movie. So she arrives at the house with a bag of groceries and tries to turn on the lights, but the power's out. So she heads into what looks like a garage or utility room and opens the breaker box. Okay. So this is a modern day breaker box. This isn't it isn't like whatever the guy was looking for back in Making Monsters where you build fuses. And because he had a modern one too, but he was like looking for big old fuse bulbs, I think.
Yeah, the old fuses.
Right. But it takes her forever to figure out which breaker to flip. This is a modern breaker box. Those are the kind where they when they're tripped, you can see it. It's tripped over, it switches. It's clearly marked, usually bright orange. But for whatever reason, she's just flipping switches randomly like she's trying to crack a safe or something. Like I was like, what are you doing? And it's the first one that she goes click, click, the second one, click, click, the third one, okay, power.
Oh yeah, great.
The other thing also, I got to talk about this too. The way they shoot the scenes in this movie sometimes were kind of thought were funny. because it's of course, it's edited like you'd expect a horror movie to be edited with lingering shots and suspenseful pacing. But were we supposed to be terrified of this breaker box? Because they lingered on it. She left the building, the room, and they just lingered on this breaker box for so fucking long. I was like, "Is the breaker box the killer? What's going
Maybe.
on?" So she then goes to another room, grabs a box of champagne, and then the camera zooms in dramatically on a set of golf clubs. There's a lot of this in the movie where they just linger on these objects like they're gonna attack at some point. Even though, yes, the golf clubs do technically come into play later, but it's just not that deep. It's like they
Yeah,
just
I
go ahead.
think they were just trying to, like, do that whole, foreshadowing,
Yeah,
because even though the breaker, doesn't really do anything, it plays a role later on down the road, just like the golf clubs, like, they play a role down the road, but
right.
you don't need to, like, heavily focus on them.
Like, you're just giving it all away. Like, they
Right.
gave it all away so much in the beginning of this movie. Alexis then heads down the stairs with the champagne. She passes a wall covered in photos while she's going down the steps. She stops to look at one of them, and it's her and her old high school friends that we'll meet later. And then she hears a sound. It's a girl's voice. It's winded and breathy, paired with the sound of footsteps. She turns and says hello, even though it's clearly in her head. To us, it's clearly in her head. Like, we know that that's not really somebody in the house, but she hears it like it's coming from somewhere that's real. Next, we get a scene of Alexis taking a bath. And okay, first of all, I love the bathroom. I love the fact that she had all those windows and the greenery. I would totally take that bath any day. It was very nice. But basically, the only thing that happened in the bathtub was her phone dinged, and she obviously gets notifications whenever Danielle posts something. So she's scrolling through, she sees all these comments calling her inspiring and beautiful and their idol. And Alexis is clearly over it. She's not impressed. She hates it. She turns it off and then just sinks under the water into the tub. Then we cut to she gets out of the tub, she's getting ready, but it's almost like Alexis is getting ready for an exorcism, not a party. Because she's so blah. Everything
Yeah.
she's blah putting on her makeup, she's blah getting stuff ready for her friends to come over. She's just blah. What kind of party is this gonna be? Is this a wake or what are we doing? She couldn't be more bummed, but she's preparing for this party like it's the most exhausting thing in the world, and everything just about it feels really flat and lifeless. She's very bummed in most of this movie, just blah. When we then meet Chloe and Kayla, two of Alexis's high school friends, they're in their car on their way to what we find out is Alexis's house, by the way. Chloe is rambling about these $5,000 boots she's obsessed with, and Kayla's
Ugh.
like, "Who the fuck can afford $5,000 boots?" And I'm like, "I'm with you, sister."
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
I have a hard time buying $25 boots. I'm just like, I don't know if I want to spend $25 on shoes.
Well, I hate buying clothes.
Oh, so
I
do I.
I admittedly have dropped $300 on a DVD, but I
Uh-huh.
have such a hard time spending, like, $60 on a pair of shoes.
Right. I can't. I have clothes in my closet that are seriously 20 years old, 10 years old. I fucking hate shopping, so it's not something that I look forward to. And when I do go shopping, it's always at like Goodwill or something. I never buy new. So anyway, Kayla's like, "Who the fuck can afford $5,000 boots?" Chloe answers, "Danielle." And Kayla's like, "Yeah, okay, fair." Then Kayla asks if Chloe's nervous. Chloe says no and throws the question back at her. Kayla admits she's a little nervous. And at this point, you're wondering, why are they nervous? These girls were best friends in high school. Something about this reunion clearly has some tension built in, or they're
Yeah.
just afraid of their friend, like afraid of seeing their friend after years, maybe. I don't know why they'd be nervous.
And it could be social anxiety, not seeing
Well,
somebody for a long time, it
yeah,
could cause some anxiety because
which I could see in Kayla, but not in Chloe. Chloe was
right.
very extroverted, but Kayla, I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Their car breaks down and it's not miles away. They acted like they were really like, "Oh my god, the car broke down. How are we ever gonna get to the house?" And they were literally just outside the driveway, basically.
But in
Like,
fairness, it was pouring and, cats
it
and
was pouring
dogs,
down rain, yes, but they made it I thought they were forever away, but no, they were literally
Yeah,
just outside the house.
yeah, like a driveway away.
Right. But it is pouring rain, so of course they make a big deal out of having to walk the rest of the way. Once they get inside, they start decorating. They bring in these 2019 balloons. Not they don't have 2019 balloons. They have
It's
balloons
the
that
year
say
of.
2019. I just wanna make sure that's clear. That's a lot of fucking and a weird number. Why would you only
Right.
bring 2019 balloons? But they have
Because
a
2020 of them is too much?
yeah, just one too many. Just can't do it. So they have the balloons that looked like 2019 and then a few other, New Year's Eve things. Kayla makes a comment about how the house looks exactly the same and how they had so many good memories there. She also mentions that Alexa's parents are selling the house, which means this is where Alexis grew up. Chloe says it still doesn't feel right being there, not since what happened. So obviously something dark went down in the house, but nobody's ready to talk
Yes.
about it yet. And of course, the camera lingers on the 2019 balloons.
Oh, are they gonna be used later?
Maybe. Oh, Lord. Again, I think they're just gonna come alive and attack us.
There's so
So
many things that could be the killer in this.
there are so many. The girls go into the kitchen and open a bottle of champagne. Suggests maybe they should wait for Danielle. And Alexis is like, do you really think she's going to show up? And they go back and forth on whether she'll flake. Alexis doesn't think she'll come, but Chloe is convinced she will. When they grab the champagne, they walk out of the kitchen because they decide to go hang out in the living room. Again, we have a very long, dramatic shot of a row of kitchen knives on the wall. Like, okay, we get it. Foreshadowing. Gotcha.
Right.
We know.
This
There's
is
so
all
much.
equipment that's gonna be used at some point. We understand. Is it gonna be cutting cake or cutting fingers? We
Right.
don't know.
Yeah, at least they left that up to, happenstance. Like, we don't know that part. Phew. Okay. Back in the living room, they keep talking about Danielle, how she hangs out with Leonardo DiCaprio, her new show, all that influencer stuff. Chloe says her show's coming out this spring, and Alexis snarks, well, we'll see about that. Then they all turn to Kayla, who has this, well, they don't turn to it, the camera does. Kayla just has this weird look on her face after Alexis says this, almost like she's uncomfortable. So there's just a little silence and tension there. And we can tell not everything is quite cool or on the up and up. Like
Also,
something's
like
happening.
when Danielle first came in, though, they kind of greeted her like in a very like warm way. You
Uh-huh.
know, Alexis was still a little standoffish, but she was like warm.
Right.
But like during the scene when they're sitting down and talking to each other, you could see that she was like throwing like little indirect jabs at her,
Oh,
but
yeah.
still being friendly at the same time.
Right. Very catty girl like. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the girls are sitting there blowing up more balloons with the confetti in them, and the conversation shifts to Alexis's situation. We find out she recently applied for a job as a hostess at a local restaurant, which she needs to do to pay off the loans that she got for the 2 years of school that she did complete
Hmm.
before she had a mental breakdown. Then she's also talking about how she needs to do this before she can go back to school and hopefully to grad school. But the biggest thing was that she had a mental breakdown. That's what I got from this.
Yeah.
She dropped out, and you could tell that it's a big deal for her because she really wants to go and complete her education. Meanwhile, Chloe is clearly obsessed with Danielle, specifically with how much money she makes. Earlier, it was the $5,000 boots. Now she's wondering how much Danielle earns with endorsements, sponsorships, and all the free stuff that gets thrown her way. She straight up says she wishes she was rich or both. She doesn't hide it. She's very into Danielle and the money aspect of what Danielle's got going on.
Yeah.
The doorbell rings. Chloe's super excited. She knows it. She's like, oh my God, she showed up. And she takes off running to the door. Kayla and Alexis still stay seated in the living room, look at each other. Alexis looks at Kayla and says, are you ready? And Kayla's like, as I'll ever be. So it's like, what are you ready for? It definitely felt like it was more than just being afraid of seeing your old friend. There was definitely something
Yeah.
else there. So Danielle enters the house and she's exactly what you'd expect based on her videos. She slips into her influencer persona. Everything is amazing.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. Hi
Yeah,
guys.
the house is amazing. Everyone looks amazing. The vibe is amazing. It's all very performative. Like she's on camera all the time, even when she's not. And everything's like, wow, amazing. I'm so proud of you. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's so intolerably frustrating.
Yes. But while Danielle's going full Instagram mode, Alexis seems to be checked out. The sound of Danielle's voice starts to muffle, like her brain is tuning it out. It feels like she's disassociating or having a full blown anxiety spiral of some sort. It's this overwhelming kind of inward collapse thing. This is a thing that I was talking about. Like, happens to her a few times during the movie where things are going on around her, but she like tunes it out and gets in her own head. They're looking around and she's showing her the house, and she's like, "Oh my God, these balloons. I am so obsessed with these balloons." And I'm like, "What, lady?" And then she talks about how because Kayla's like, no, Chloe said Kayla picked those out, and she was like, "I knew you had taste," or something like that. Like, really, they're fucking balloons. And even Kayla was like, "Well, I just got them at the 99-cent store." Like,
Right.
whatever. But of course, Danielle wants to document the moment. She insists on taking a group selfie. Alexis looks deeply uncomfortable, and while they're taking the selfie, they do several pictures. You can see Alexis, who's obviously very aware of her scar, and it bothers her. She's pulling her hair to cover her scar all the time while they're taking these pictures.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. In the next scene, the girls are in the kitchen getting ready for dinner or getting dinner ready. Danielle mentions she's DF. I'm TF, which means she's dairy free,
Right.
and goes on this whole spiel about how bad dairy is for you. Apparently, she's done so much research on it.
Yeah, big
Mean
dairy.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Alexis is off to the side cutting a cucumber and again, completely checked out. She's quiet, she's distant, but also kind of annoyed. It's like she's disassociating from the entire conversation. It's almost like every time Danielle speaks, she disassociates pretty
It's
much,
kind
except
of
for one part. But
it's like me at work.
right, yeah, I can jive with that. So, but while she's disassociating and she's listening, but she's not listening, and you could tell that like everything Danielle says is kind of grating on her. But what drove me nuts, and I knew it was coming because of the way she was holding that fucking cucumber. Alexis is sitting at the table cutting a cucumber, and she's holding it, and it's making me anxious because she's holding it so cavalierly, like she's just casual about it. She's got her fingers are sprawled out as she's cutting really close to them with
Yeah,
this knife. It was driving me crazy. I was like, "Oh my god, she's gonna cut her finger. She's gonna cut her finger. She's gonna cut her finger." And what happens?
she cut her finger. Oh my
Right.
god.
I can't
The
believe it.
tension. See,
So she
that's why they showed the knife earlier.
Oh, that's it. I did not put those 2 things together. Crazy me.
Armpit
So
hair.
yeah, how much time went by during that scene? So she jumps up and everybody's like, "Oh my god, oh my god." She's like, "No, it's no big deal. I cut my finger. I'll just go clean it up." So she runs to the bathroom. She rinses off the cut, puts a Band-Aid on it. She grabs a towel to wipe her hands dry. And as she's standing there, she starts staring at herself in the mirror. And then she just suddenly just slams her hand, still holding the towel, straight into the glass, shattering it. Now,
Shattering
my
it. Yep.
thought was, girl, your parents are trying to sell this house. You have no single thought about that? You're just in full smash mode, ruining your parents' house while they're trying to sell it? Come on. So
Hey.
so later, the girls sit down for dinner, and Danielle suggests that they go around the table and share one thing they're proud of from their past, reflect on personal accomplishment, celebrate our growth, that kind of thing.
Yay.
Yay! Gail is the only one with a legit answer.
Right. She does.
Yeah, she mentions she has a job. I don't know if she's working with kids, if she's doing some sort of a physical therapy or behavioral therapy or some kind of therapy, maybe. I got that feeling. I wasn't really sure, but it was somehow, I think, therapy related. But she's going on about it and how great it makes her feel with just this one kid. Then they go on to Chloe, who she jokes because Chloe's very obviously she hides trauma with humor.
Yes.
And she's the fun one of the bunch, like the super extrovert fun one. But she goes next and she jokes that her accomplishments include having a sick mom, no boyfriend, no job, no money, but at least she didn't kill herself this year. And yes, it was dark, but everyone laughed except Danielle. She gets all serious and says, "I just want you to know I love you, Chloe. I'm here for you if you ever need anything." Which, okay, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, the first person that she calls. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I can't talk to you right now.
Who's this?
Right. New
Then it's
number. New phone. Who
new
dis?
year, new number. Like, so then it's Alexis's turn. She admits the year has been bad, that many years have been bad. She hasn't accomplished anything. She's carrying a ton of regret and she's been stuck in the past. But she ends up saying she still believes her best accomplishments are ahead of her. Of course, Danielle slips right back into her fake influencer voice. "Wow, Lex, I love that. The best years are ahead of everyone." But she oddly enough, though, she was the only one who did not share anything about her own year, which I thought was odd because I felt like she was only gonna do this so she could gush and go on about all the stuff she's done that year. But
Yeah.
she didn't. I was surprised.
Yeah, I until you mentioned it, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, and you'll see this is a few times in the movie, but Chloe keeps looking at the clock, like she's weirdly obsessed with time. She does this more than once throughout the movie, which we find out later why,
Right.
but she stares at the clock. Next, we see the girls in the sauna. They're wearing face masks, casually chatting about old times. Honestly, nothing happens in this scene, just a little bonding and filler, and they let you know that there's a sauna
Yeah.
because you they lingered on the sauna for a really long
Yes.
time.
Yes, they did.
So then they move into another room to play cards. Danielle turns to Kayla and says she doesn't know anything about her love life. Kayla responds that she's a lesbian, and Danielle acts like this is a brand new information. She asks if Kayla is seeing anyone, and Kayla says yes, she's with a woman named Frankie. And of course, Danielle immediately responds with her usual over the top voice, amazing.
That's so great for you.
Yes. Then she follows it up with, I didn't know you were into girls. And Kayla explains that she was in high school too, but was too scared to come out back then. Naturally, Danielle wants to document this, of course. She suddenly gets this inspiration and goes into influencer mode. She pulls her camera up and she's on herself. She's like, hey guys, I'm here with my high school besties. Again, this is a part where I really was like, God, this woman just does not open her mouth all the way. What's the deal? It just drove me crazy. It was so annoying. So they start talking about New Year's resolutions, and she goes to Kayla to because Kayla said a whole bunch of really nice stuff, and that's why she decided she wanted to document it. And so she asked Kayla first to talk about her New Year's resolutions, and she's answering sincerely. And one of the things that she talks about is wanting to help people more, especially with everything that's been going on lately. But Danielle immediately shuts it down and makes her redo it because she can't talk about anything political because it might alienate part of her fan base. And I was like,
Yes.
all she talked about was just what's going on this year. Like, who even, I mean, it wasn't like she got into what it was. I wasn't like, oh my God.
Yeah, no, it's like she was completely fine. I mean, I didn't even pick up on the fact that she was
Right.
referencing something political. I mean, it was
No.
so open that you couldn't it was open
Yeah.
for interpretation.
Right. I mean, what went on that year? She didn't even say specifically, was it worldwide, just in her life, in her friends' lives? It could have been anything. But, anyways, Danielle asks Kayla to redo it, and Kayla does. Then she goes to Chloe, she gives her answer, and then she finally turns to Alexis. Alexis wants no part of it. She says no, flat out. But Danielle doesn't back off. She keeps pushing and pushing, getting closer and closer to her, and talking to her like she's either her dog or a baby learning to walk. Because she's like, come on, come on, come on. I'm like, why is she talking that way?
And that scene, like, out of the whole movie, that really pissed me off,
Yes.
because of the lack of boundaries
Right.
and just the fact that she just kept on pushing and pushing and pushing.
Yeah.
And as somebody who can't stand that in my everyday life, it just, like, legitimately pissed me off.
I was like, please punch her in the face. Please.
Yes.
Oh, she just kept saying, come on, tell us whatever." And Alexis kept repeating, "No, no, no." And you could tell Alexis was pissed. But she finally snaps, grabs Danielle's phone, and throws it across the room towards the window. Right at that moment, lightning strikes and the power goes out. So now Alexis has to head back down to the breaker box again to figure out which one flipped, even though typically when lightning knocks your power out, it kind of pretty much goes out in the whole neighborhood.
Right, it's not just one place.
Right, but not in this movie. Nope, it's just this house.
Yeah.
Maybe lightning struck just the same time the breaker decided to flip again. It just happened to work out. Good timing on the breaker box's part. Maybe it is a killer. As Danielle goes to pick up her phone, she says, "Oh, it's fine." She was really worried it might have gone flying through the window and broken. And this is where we find out that Alexis's parents had the entire house hermetically sealed after the accident. So apparently the windows aren't even breakable, at least
Yeah.
not easily breakable. Then we're hit with another flashback, just like before. It's murky, it's unclear. We see a girl frantically trying to get out of a window. Eventually, she jumps through it and lands in the pool. So, obviously, my interpretation is this is why they hermetically sealed the house so people can jump out their windows.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess that's it. So,
because I mean, you once one person does it,
yeah.
that's just gonna bring in a flood of people who wanna do it in that exact spot.
Oh, we can jump out the windows? Let's go. A whole line of people just waiting to kill themselves. So we just didn't realize it until they broke the window. We're back with Alexis at the fuse box, and just like before, she flips the first switch, nothing. Second one, nothing. Third one, boom, lights. Okay, girl, it's the third one. It's always
Yeah,
gonna be the third one. If she can't tell which one is flipped, then maybe she's colorblind, whatever. But we at least know it's the third one.
maybe it was just too dark for her to know that it was the third, that she wasn't on the first one, even though, like, you can
She went
feel it
right to
around.
but she went right to
Mm.
it.
But maybe she didn't know.
Maybe. We're just giving her the benefit of the doubt here.
She's just randomly grabbing something.
Right. She closes the door of the fuse box and bam, Danielle is suddenly standing right there behind it. No sound, no footsteps. She just appeared out of nowhere like she's in a horror movie.
Boo, I'm a ghost.
Danielle starts into this heartfelt talk about how she didn't realize Alexis hadn't been back to the house since the accident, which immediately made me wonder why the hell did her parents have the house hermetically sealed if she wasn't there, if no one was there? Like, who was there? Who was even living there? If
Well,
Alexis hadn't been back at the house since that happened,
again, they're trying to prevent the entire neighborhood, town from jumping off the house,
even if they're
They're
not there.
right. They're doing the community a service.
Now they had a meeting, a family meeting. Okay, now that everybody knows that our windows break, we're gonna have to have it hermetically sealed, but we're still gonna have to move the fuck out. But I don't know why they need to seal all the windows and shit if nobody's even living there. Anyway, Danielle goes full memory lane. She reminds Alexis of how they were best friends, how she was the one who went with her to get her chin hair zapped off, how Alexis checked her, literally got into her butt cheeks to check for hemorrhoids, and how they used to eat themselves into a food coma every Friday because no one else wanted to hang out with them. Then she cups Alexis's face and says, "I'm so proud of who you've become." And I'm like, "Are you even listening to her? Alexis literally just said her life's a disaster. Her whole life's a fucking mess. And you're telling her you're proud of her? Proud
Just
of
completely
what?"
out of touch. Just
And then,
completely out of touch.
and then I thought they were going to make out.
Yeah, I know. They got a little too close there.
Right. But then that didn't happen. So then they start laughing. Alexis laughs it off. And all right, let's go party. And I honestly felt like, oh, okay, we're going to have a change of tone here in the way Alexis is behaving because she's just really been a total bummer for this whole quote unquote party.
But yes.
But she seemed to, become a little more jovial. Back upstairs or wherever they had to go. I don't know if it was upstairs or just out the door. I think they were in the garage. So maybe back in the house.
Yeah.
Danielle tells everyone to put their phones away. There's only 1 hour left till midnight. She puts on a song. Chloe lights up and she's like, "Oh my God, eighth grade recital." Apparently, this is a track they danced to back in the day. It's TLC's Unpretty, which I thought was kind of a good choice considering the situation
Yeah.
with Danielle being who she is. And then, of course, Alexis, who's very aware of the scar on her face and she probably feels unpretty. So they start dancing badly. It's clear they don't remember the choreography because they're all out of sync. No one's lining
Yes.
up with anything. But Alexa drifts again into that muffled blank space in her head again. The music fades, ominous tones creep in, and she just stares into nothing. There's a mirror there, and you can see her occasionally looking in the mirror and her face gets that sullen, sad look to it. And Danielle is right beside her dancing, and every once in a while you'd see Danielle look at her, and Danielle had a look on her face like I couldn't tell if it was concern, and if it was concern, was it concern for Alexis, or was Danielle getting the hint and was concerned for herself? Maybe I wasn't really sure, but she had a look.
Yeah, she did.
Then they shift into a game of Never Have I Ever, and it starts out your typical game. People are saying crazy things, and people drink to what they have never done. Or this is a game that I never understood. I wasn't a drinker, so somebody says, "Never have I ever peed my pants." If you have peed your pants, then you drink. Is that the
Yes.
game? Okay,
Yes.
all right. If you've never done it, then you don't drink. All right. Yeah, this is how cool I was back in high school. Okay, so they go through all these things and everybody tell if you have done it, then you tell the story of what it was that you did. So they have these little things. But of course, Chloe, who is way too obsessed with Danielle's life, decides to throw out Never have I ever hooked up with a celebrity. Clearly, she wants dirt. She knows Danielle's hooked up with a celebrity. So she
Yeah.
just wants to know what's going on. Danielle hesitates and then says she can't talk about it because of an NDA that she signed. But Chloe keeps pushing. So Danielle finally hints that it was some electric car guy, which, come on, she must
Yeah,
be
he's
talking.
he's he's like really rich and he's electric cars and like yeah, we know who she's talking about.
Right. As she's telling the story, Alexis is getting visibly irritated and she doesn't hold back. She cuts in and goes because she's pushing the whole time to get Danielle to tell this story and she's getting very aggressive about it. And Danielle, she'll hold back, but then as Alexis gets more aggressive, she gives up a little more information and they go back and forth with that for a little while. Then finally she basically tells the whole story. And Alexis says, "So let me get this straight. You got picked up in a limo, flown on a private plane by a stranger to his island. He fucked you and then he ghosted you," is basically what she said. Kayla and Chloe are now both like, "Ooh,"
Yeah, like,
and
"Ew,
they
this
want,
feels icky."
yeah, they want things to just cool off. So they say, "Let's move on, let's move on." But Alexa isn't done. She looks at Danielle dead in the eye and says, "So you're a whore, basically." Then Alexis takes her turn, and it's definitely tense and weird. But Alexis goes right from that to deciding that she's gonna say something about never have I ever. And she says,
Yes.
"Never have I ever bullied a sweet innocent girl until she committed suicide." Then everybody's like frozen for a minute. Danielle stands up, Alexis stands up, then Alexis grabs the champagne, gets in Danielle's face and yells, "Drink, Danielle, drink," and wants her to admit what happened. And then she shoves her backwards onto the floor. Alexis jumps on top of her, starts pouring champagne in her face, basically waterboarding her with champagne, and screams, "Admit what you did, admit it, admit it." She keeps going, "You tortured Kelsey until she jumped out the window." And right then the clock hits midnight. Alexis starts counting down 10, 9, 8, all the way to Happy fucking New Year. Then she turns to Chloe and Kayla and says, "Hurry up, quick, tie her up." This is the moment we realize that all three of these girls were in on this plan from the start. The entire night was planned to trap Danielle and force her to confess to bullying Kelsey until she killed herself. So in the next scene, Danielle is tied to a chair using the
Balloons!
yes.
Woohoo!
I was shocked. I'm like, where did that come from? So, yes, they tied her up with the 2019 party balloons. Chloe starts recording, which honestly, when I watched this the first time through, Chloe had started recording and I didn't catch on that Chloe had started recording. And then Alexis told her not yet. And as Alexis was started spewing all this stuff at Danielle before she started to record Danielle, I was like, she needs to be recording this so that people can hear what she's saying because I knew Danielle was going to be full of shit.
Right.
Anyway, she didn't for some reason. So Chloe had started recording, and then Alexis said, "Not yet." Danielle demands to know what's going on. Alexis tells her she's just following Danielle's own advice. Get well, Danielle. New year, new me. And then she launches into a full takedown. Basically, Alexis says they couldn't let Danielle go on TV and pretend to be this perfect wellness queen. She calls her a fraud, a bully, and straight up evil. She accuses her of calling Chloe fat. This is all back in high school, which led to years of bulimia, and calling Kayla an ugly lesbian, which delayed her coming out, which is funny because in the beginning, when Danielle was talking to Kayla and Kayla said that she was a lesbian, Danielle acted like she didn't even know,
Right.
even though she called her an ugly lesbian back in high school. So she calls her an ugly lesbian, and which delayed her coming out in high school. Most of all, she says Danielle tortured Kelsey until she jumped out the window. And while Alexis admits that she played a part in that too, she says Danielle had power over her, just like she has power over her online army of narcissistic followers now. Well, I'm kind of jumping ahead. So Danielle, of course, is sitting there and she's all wet and a mess because her makeup's running and she just poured champagne all over her face and stuff. And she's just quiet at first, but then she basically comes around. It's like, yeah, this is probably going to be, cathartic basically for me. Go ahead and get this out. So she is recording now. Chloe's recording Danielle. And Danielle, who's got these, fake tears, and she starts telling this speech about how you have to, face your sins, and we all have sins from our past of things we aren't proud of. And that when we hold these things in, it can do a lot of damage to our bodies, like give us acne and some other stuff. I can't.
Gain some weight and
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So she's just going on and on about all the things that having things in your past that you hold on to can do to damage your body. but that she needs to come clean about a friend of hers who, when she was 16, was bullied really bad by kids at school until she finally eventually committed suicide. That Danielle's only sin with all of this was that she didn't do anything to stop it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So she totally deflects, downplays, and rewrites the whole thing. Alexis is furious. She's like, that isn't a fucking apology. That was no fucking confession. And Danielle is completely unfazed. Like Danielle takes on, you can see that manipulative, narcissistic part of her from this. I mean, you could see it before, but you can, from this point
Like,
on,
you
you can
really see it.
really see it now for the rest of the movie. Alexis storms out yelling about this. And Danielle says, "Thanks for the opportunity. That felt really good to get off my
Oh,
chest."
yeah, that was so irritating.
Yes. Then Alexis re-enters and 'cause she went to the bathroom. She comes back. She's carrying a bunch of makeup and a face mask stuff, and she also grabbed a shard of glass from where she'd broken the mirror before. She starts smearing this green clay mask all over Danielle's face and in her hair, telling her she's to get camera ready, and then she slaps her in the face, which I was like, "Yes, at least we got something in there." And Alexis is kind of unraveling. I mean, she's really starting to lose it, even though we don't like Danielle.
Yeah.
But Alexis is really kind of losing it here. But Danielle, she tries to stay calm. She tells her to breathe, but Alexis snaps, "Stop telling me to calm down. I'm tired of feeling like shit because you're telling me I need to feel good about myself." Then she starts slathering lipstick on her mouth, but it's not like you would, not properly. It's not in the way you would put it on. It's all around her mouth. And then she puts eyeshadow on her and it's all crazy. And she looks like a total clown. Danielle keeps repeating her mantras about self love and how it's natural to love yourself when we just unlearn it in childhood. And Alexa snaps again, saying, "Yeah, we unlearn it because people like you torment us." At that moment, Alexis, who has this shard of glass, gets up and walks around behind Danielle and grabs a chunk of Danielle's hair and slices it off with this jagged mirror, which I'm sure had to hurt like
Oh, I'm
hell.
sure. And that's the thing, like, throughout all of this, Danielle is mostly unfazed.
Yeah.
Like, when the face mask is going on, the lipstick, she's, like, almost, like, unfazed by the whole thing.
Yeah, totally. She's definitely doing that whole narcissistic thing where, because 'cause I've dealt with people where they stay super calm and it makes you crazy. And
Yes.
then you start getting super pissed off and they just stay totally calm, and the more calm they stay, the more pissed you get because they
Yeah.
basically then turn it on because 'cause they're like, "Look, see, she's crazy. I'm
Right.
not crazy. I'm totally fine." Yeah. Okay, so she cuts the hair off. So Kayla and Chloe are now like gasp, horrified. They're like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. We didn't sign up for this level of crazy." Kayla runs out of the room. Alexis chases after her and tells Chloe to keep an eye on Danielle. So now, and this is a back and forth thing where we see stuff with Chloe and Danielle, then we see stuff with Alexis and Kayla. I'm just going to do all of what's with Danielle and then all of what's with Kayla and Alexis. So
Mhm.
Danielle tells her she has no idea what Alexis is talking about. She's talking to Chloe and tells her that she has no idea what Alexis is talking about. She admits to maybe being a little harsh towards Chloe back in the day, but she apologizes for it. And then she goes full strategy, playing to Chloe's desires because she knows that Chloe's the weak link here. And she knows that Chloe is obviously obsessed with Danielle's fortune and fame. So she's going to play to that to try to win Chloe over.
Weak link. She was
Right.
like a friggin' piece of twine on, like, metal.
Right.
I mean, she broke so friggin'
It,
easy.
it took nothing. I mean, as soon as she apologized for calling her fat back in high school, you could tell that that was enough to just win Chloe over.
Oh, yeah, that was totally enough.
Yeah. So she starts playing to Chloe's desires, the fame, the money, the new life. She tells Chloe that when her brand moves from social media to TV, which I don't understand this, I didn't understand this part at all. Someone will have to take her spot on the social media side, and she gets to choose who fills it. And guess who it's going to be? Chloe.
Yeah,
But I
that's
don't.
why she was here, because she wanted to make sure that she got the news.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm sure that was it. But I don't understand how. Like, what does that even mean? So if you are a social media influencer and you have your Instagram and your Facebook or your TikTok or whatever, who's taking over your It's like, what? I did not understand that at all. Even the second time, I was like, "I don't understand what that means." Like,
Well, it's because she had, like, a show that she did, like, on YouTube, and
okay,
it was, like, one of the things that she was doing, and she was looking for a replacement for that so she could do the other stuff, and that she was going to ask Chloe to be the person to take over.
okay.
But the whole thing was just bullshit because she's
Yeah.
just trying to win over
Oh,
Chloe,
yeah, yeah, totally.
and again, Chloe being, like, you know, not even a link because of how easily she turned, she was so manipulated that everything
Right.
that Danielle was saying, "Oh, yeah, you're right, I can do this. This is gonna be
Yeah.
great."
Right. So yeah, she's bribing her, straight up saying, "Help me get out of this chair and I'll make you famous. I'll take you to LA. I'll hand you everything you've ever wanted." Meanwhile, Kayla's in the bathroom calling her girlfriend Frankie. Frankie can tell something's wrong and offers to come pick her up, but Kayla says no. Her car broke down and she's waiting for Alexis to bring her home. She says the night's almost over. She'll just go to sleep and see Frankie tomorrow. Then Alexis knocks on the door. Kayla lets her in, tells her this has gone too far. Their original plan was just to scare Danielle into admitting that what she did to Kelsey, not to torture her. But Danielle isn't admitting anything. And Kayla's like, maybe she didn't actually do what you're saying. Alexis is offended. What? You think I made all this up? She insists they just need to push Danielle a little harder and she'll crack. Kayla's clearly uneasy and says, "This isn't what I signed up for." Alexis fires back, "Well, how far did you think this was going to go?" She calls Danielle a psychopath who's poisoning the internet with her bullshit and says that they can't let her keep doing it. In her mind, this isn't just revenge, it's basically a moral obligation. Finally, Alexis reminds Kayla that she agreed to do this and she's not backing out now. Then she storms out, heading back to Danielle and Chloe. When Alexis walks back into the room, you see Chloe crouched down behind Danielle's chair. We know what she's doing. She's untying her. But when Alexis asks what's going on, Chloe jumps up and says, "I'm just tightening the ties." Uh-huh, sure. Alexis kneels down in front of Danielle, who now looks completely confident, like she owns the room. She's looking at Alexis like she's the crazy one. Alexis tells her, "You're not getting out of here until you admit what you did." Then she picks up the shard of glass and presses it to Danielle's jawline, right in the same spot where her own scar is. Danielle calmly says, "Alexis, I didn't give you that scar. Kelsey did." Then the camera shows Danielle's hand. She's clearly free now, thanks to Chloe. She suddenly shoves Alexis and they start fighting. They're rolling around on the floor. Chloe grabs Kayla to stop her from, because Chloe and Kayla are up on like some stairs. So
Yeah.
when this starts to happen, Kayla goes to lunge to, break it up, but Chloe grabs her and holds on to her so to stop her from stepping in. And Kayla's like, "Chloe, what are you doing? Stop." Danielle ends up on top of Alexis and slams her head against the floor and knocks her out. And the funny thing is how easily Chloe, because I felt like Chloe and Kayla are the two friends who probably still hang out together all the time, even though they're out of high school, because they seemed like they knew what was going on with each other and they came there together. But how quickly Chloe was to just be like, "Yeah, I'm turning on my best friend now and going with this dumb bitch over here that's promised me the whole world." I just thought that was shitty. I was like, because I really liked Chloe, but then I was like, I don't know if I like her that much anymore. She slams her head against the floor, knocks her out. Alexis wakes up, clearly disoriented. Everything sounds muffled. There's pounding, there's voices. And then she realizes that she and Kayla are now locked in the sauna and it's hot, like really hot. Meanwhile, Danielle is in front of the mirror, wiping off all the shit Alexis smeared on her earlier. She looks crazy. She's just got this crazy fucking face. And we can still hear the muffled sounds of Alexis and Kayla yelling from inside the sauna, wanting them to open it up and get them out. Alexis tells Kayla to stop. They're not coming. No one's going to let us out. She's fucking crazy. She's a psychopath. Kayla admits that she thought if she went along with the plan that Alexis had, it would help Alexis get closure and finally move on. It's clear that all of this, Danielle, Kelsey, the past stuff, has been eating away at Alexis for years. Kayla, on the other hand, says she doesn't care anymore that Danielle bullied her in high school for being a lesbian. It hasn't affected her life. She's got an amazing girlfriend now, but she's probably never going to see her again because she's going to die in this sauna.
Right.
So she tells Alexis she needs to let it go. Danielle being famous doesn't mean Alexis has to keep torturing herself over it. Just stop looking at her stuff. Stay off of Instagram. Unfollow her. Stay off of whatever she's on. Go outside. Get a dog. Get your degree. Do something, anything. Just move on. We see Kayla still trying to force the sauna door open. And then we get a shot from the outside of the sauna. And they had put pools, because it's double doors. And they put pool sticks that have been wedged now between the hand through the handles to keep it shut. Total fire hazard. Obviously, they weren't thinking. Then we then we see Kayla's phone and another phone, but Kayla's phone is ringing and it's Frankie that's calling. But someone picks up both those phones and puts them in a drawer. That someone is Danielle.
Ooh.
Ooh. So she's in the kitchen with Chloe and calmly leading her through a manifestation mantra. Nothing stands between me and all of my desires. And you hear Chloe, who is breathing slowly in through her nose, out through her mouth, and she's repeating this back over and over. Nothing stands between me and all of my desires. After a few rounds of this, Chloe stops, looks at her, and says, "We're going to let them out soon, right?" Danielle says, "I think a couple of hours should be fine." Chloe's like, "Okay. And then what?" Danielle, cool as ever, says, "Then we'll call the cops and tell them they must have gotten stuck in the steam room while we were watching a movie and didn't notice until they were dead."
And Chloe's like, What?
Yeah, Chloe's like, "Wait, what?" And Danielle just shrugs like it's no big deal, and she's looking at Chloe, and Chloe says, "I thought the plan was just to scare them so they wouldn't spread lies." Danielle plays it off, "Yeah, that was the plan, but if I could trust them to not ruin us," and now she's using us, which
Yes.
ropes Chloe in emotionally, fame and fortune still dangling in front of her. Then Danielle shifts the responsibility to Chloe. She says, you know them better than I do. If you think scaring them is enough, we'll just scare them." Chloe nervously agrees, of course. Yes, that's going to be enough. We don't need to do more than that, just scare them. And Danielle says, "Okay, but of course, what if we can't trust them and they go on the internet and they say a bunch of stuff about us? You know what mob mentality is like. Or what if they call the cops and say that we tried to kill them, even though we were just trying to scare them?" So basically, she's throwing this all on Chloe to make the decision as to, but using we're going to lose out on all the fame and fortune
Oh yeah,
if,
the manipulation tactics.
right, if we let them go. Back in the sauna, it's 155 degrees in there because they show it on the temperature thing. I'm not really sure why you can't adjust the controls from inside the sauna.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm not a sauna expert. I have
Right.
no idea.
Like, I think if you're in the sauna, you wouldn't wanna go outside the sauna to adjust it and have to keep doing that. I would think you could just do it inside the sauna. I don't know.
Right.
I'm not sure why they can't do it, but they can't. Kayla and Alexis are drained. They're barely banging on the door now. They're very tired and exhausted. But Kayla spots a champagne bottle across the room and uses it because the way the doors are, there's these two round, almost porthole like windows. So she uses the champagne bottle to break one of the tiny porthole windows in the door. But the sound of the shattering glass alerts Danielle and Chloe. Danielle
Like, oh
jumps up.
shit.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what they said. Danielle jumps up, grabs two knives that were hanging on the wall.
Ooh.
Dun, dun, dun. And turns to Chloe. She holds one out and says, "Nothing stands between you and all of your desires." And Chloe takes it. They run toward the sauna, but Alexis and Kayla are already out of the sauna. And as Danielle and Chloe pass a hallway and run down further to the sauna, the other two girls come out and bolt toward the front door. And this door is locked with a key, just like last week's. The door is locked with a key. Like you had to have a key to unlock it and lock it.
Yes.
So they can't get out. Alexis and Kayla then run for the garage. Now, you would think that this would be an electronic garage door where you could just push the button and the door would open because it didn't have handles that you would turn and then open the door. I don't know why they didn't push the button because the power was on at this point in time. The breaker box
Yes, it
wasn't fucking
was.
with them. So they could have just pushed the button. I don't know why they didn't do it, but they didn't. I guess it just would have sent the movie in a different direction, I guess.
But so I would also like to note the reason why I'm saying, I mean, it's obvious why Chloe switched so quickly.
Uh-huh.
She went from like, oh, we're just trying to scare them to let's murder them.
Right. There's no in between. It's either scare or death. Or scare to death, maybe. Yeah, totally. She was an easy one to flip.
There was no convincing whatsoever.
No, it didn't take any time at all. So they're at the garage door and they're trying to open it manually and they're trying to lift it and it's not lifting. Alexis runs over, grabs a crowbar, and she's shoving it out of the door. They manage to finally get the door open, and boom, there's Danielle and Chloe standing there with the knives. The girls scream. Kayla kicks Chloe to the ground, and then she and Alexis try to shut the garage door, but it only goes halfway. So they abandon it, run back into the house. Danielle slides under the door and yells for Chloe to hurry up and follow her. And course, Chloe's on the ground. Alexis and Kayla, what do? They run upstairs into a bedroom and hide in a closet.
No way.
Ah, yes, way. At this point, they're basically just choosing to die. That's what their choice is. They're like, yep, we're going to choose to die. Let's just hide in this closet. No one will find us here. We won't get trapped. I think I say this in every movie that we
Well,
review.
it's have you seen that commercial? I forget what commercial it's for. I think it's for a bag of chips or something. There's this it's a like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre sort of looking
Oh,
sort of
yes,
thing,
yes.
and the kids, one is like, "To a running car in safety, to a shed with, like, a bunch of things that can kill you," and they
Right.
run to the shed.
And then one person's like, why did we come in here when there's a car out there? That's all that's perfectly you could drive. Yeah, that's
"You're
like
crazy!"
I love that commercial. I think it's a progressive commercial.
Is
Or
it?
it's some I think it's an insurance commercial, I think. I can't remember. It's one of those commercials though that you're so into the what's going on in the commercial, you do forget what the commercial's for. I've had those a few
Yeah,
times.
it was a fantastic commercial, though.
Yeah, it was. It was great. Yeah, they hide in the closet. Danielle is yelling from the garage, telling Chloe to hurry up and come on. Chloe runs in, and Danielle immediately tells her to go find the others. She then slams the garage door shut and rips the handle off with a broom just in case they try to escape again. Back upstairs in the closet, Lexus apologizes to Kayla for dragging her into this. Kayla agrees, no, Danielle is absolutely fucking insane. Alexis says, I'm going to get us out of this, and decides to sneak back downstairs to find her phone. Kayla tries to stop her, doesn't want her to go off alone, but Alexis insists, I've got to fix this. So now Alexis is going downstairs, but she's tiptoeing through the house and just barely dodging Chloe at one point, who's pacing the halls and muttering her little mantra. Chloe then goes upstairs, and when she goes upstairs, she ends up in the bedroom where Kayla is still hiding in the closet. And you can see Kayla peeking through the very obvious crack between the two doors because they didn't close the closet doors all the way. Oh, if you're gonna hide in the closet, close the door, at least do something to help yourself a little bit. Then Chloe, she's in there and she says, are you in here? Which, like, seriously, who answers yes to that? It drives me crazy. Like, people do this all the time. The bad guy's always like, are you in here? Or they say their name and they're like, they think the person's going to just jump out. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. But of course, she does jump out. Kayla comes out of the closet. No pun intended. And she steps out and tries to reason with Chloe. She tells her this hasn't gone so far that we can't come back from it. We can still walk away. Just call the cops. But Chloe refuses. She's like, I am not calling the clop. The clop. What?
The clops. Those goddamn clops. You can't trust them.
I'm not calling the cops. She's still clinging to that promised life of fame and fortune, and she's not letting it go. Kayla tries to reassure her. Well, we'll tell them Danielle went nuts. I won't say you were part of it. We can just go home and go back to our normal lives. And as she's saying this to Chloe, she's getting closer to her. Her arms are out, just kind of out a little bit. They're not like grabbing her or anything, but they're reaching towards her
Yeah.
as she's saying, we can just go back to our normal lives. She walks towards Chloe with her arms like that, trying to get through to her, but Chloe snaps, grabs her arm, and says, I don't want to go back to my normal life. They struggle. Kayla pulls away, but purposely elbows Chloe in the face. Really good, I thought. I
Yeah.
was like,
It was a good
dang,
club.
that was nice. And Chloe responds by shoving her hard. Kayla falls back, hits her head on the corner of the counter, and dies.
And this is where I should mention that Kayla is a black woman,
Yes, I said the same thing.
and we just had the token black person who
Yes,
dies first.
yes. I said that. I was like, of course, the black person always dies first. Like, I thought we moved beyond this by now.
There is only one horror show that I've seen where the black characters survive the first 10 minutes of the show, and that was Z Nation.
Oh,
There was
I
a
haven't seen
couple
that yet.
there was a couple black characters in the beginning, and they were the ones that actually lived.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was weird.
Spoiler. But I really thought I feel like didn't Scream address that? Didn't Scream
I don't know. I didn't like the Scream movies, so I can't really remember.
You didn't even like the first one?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it just wasn't for me, and most likely the way that movie was set up, it probably did do that because it did cover a lot of the tropes.
Yeah, I went through all the rules of a horror movie, and I feel
Yeah.
like maybe they but I'm also thinking there weren't any black kids in that movie. Uh,
As you say that, I don't think there was.
yeah, I don't think so either. At least not in the first one. I don't believe there was in the first one.
Yeah,
Anyway,
no.
she hits her and knocks her back, she hits her head on the corner of the counter and she dies. Then the power goes out. So we cut.
God damn it.
I wonder which breaker Alexa should flip.
I think it's the 5th one this time.
Probably. It's probably the 5th one. It's gonna be that'd be the way it would go, of course, being a horror movie. The tricky breaker box makes you think it's the 3rd one every time, but no, now it's the 5th one.
Right.
Spend that extra time, which makes the bad guy sneak up on you. So we cut to Alexis, still frantically searching for her phone. She hears a noise. It's Danielle. So she grabs a 5-pound weight and hides behind and kind of under a table. I don't know if she was behind it or under it. I wasn't sure. Danielle walks into the room and starts her manipulative spiel. We weren't trying to hurt you. We just wanted to scare you. Total lie. She says that if Alexis promises to keep quiet about Kelsey, they can all just move on. But Alexis isn't buying it. She jumps up and hits Danielle with the weight. Danielle, who of course has the knife, manages to slash Alexis's leg before Alexis can escape and runs upstairs calling for Kayla. She goes up the stairs, she goes into the room, she finds Kayla's body in the bathroom. She goes up to see Kayla, and of course Kayla's dead. She starts crying, she's upset. Alexis then walks out of that room, goes back in the room that had the golf clubs in it. She grabs a golf club.
We didn't know that was coming.
No idea. It blew me away. I fell on the floor. I almost couldn't watch the rest of the movie. I was so shocked. So after she sees Kayla in the bathroom, she goes downstairs and tries to go out the garage, but the garage door has no handle. So she heads to the kitchen, wraps her bleeding leg in a towel and ties it off. That's when we see Chloe, who appears at the top of the stairs crying. She's clearly devastated. She runs into Danielle, who's waiting at the bottom of the stairs with the same huge knife in her hand. Chloe breaks down. I killed Kayla. I killed Kayla. And Danielle, she just hugs her, calm as ever, tells her she's proud. This lady is proud of
Uh,
it. Doesn't matter what you do.
yeah, it doesn't matter. She's proud.
She is so proud
Go
of you.
you.
So she's not letting anything, she's so proud of her for not letting anything stand in her way, that she's finally putting herself first. If that means having to kill people, then so be it, right? She congratulates her on how well she's manifesting her future. Chloe Chloe is clearly still processing everything, but Danielle keeps reassuring her it was just an accident. Accidents happen. What matters is how we deal with these situations. She tells her that she handled it beautifully. So now Chloe's in this shocked trance at this point, but she's hearing her, but decides to just repeat this mantra that she's been saying all this time now is nothing stands between me and all my desires. She just keeps saying it over and over and over again. Then
Yeah.
the doorbell rings and they're like, oh fuck, who is that? They check the people. It's Frankie, Kayla's girlfriend. So Danielle, being Danielle, immediately comes up with a plan. We'll let her in. And then when she's not looking, you grab the knife and you take care of her. I find that it's funny that if you up to this point, Danielle hasn't done any of the dirty work herself.
Yeah, no, she hasn't.
She's
It's all
basically
Chloe.
delegating it to Chloe so that it's all on her.
So
She
basically, she's the Charlie Manson of the group.
Right, exactly. So she keeps going. Then we'll say she showed up in a jealous rage because Kayla broke up with her. She wanted revenge, tried to kill everyone, and we had to defend ourselves. Then what would be great is we could totally do a segment on self-defense. She's always thinking, always.
Always thinking.
Chloe, who is still somehow buying into all this, says, damn, you're really good at this. And Danielle just smiles. Okay, hiccups now. Smiles and says, I know. So they let Frankie in. They walk her to the kitchen. Frankie's concerned. She says Kayla seemed upset and she's been trying to reach her, but she's not answering her phone. Danielle brushes it off. Oh no, she's just asleep. It's late. We're all about to go to bed soon too. They make some small talk and then Chloe goes, oh, I forgot something. And she heads to the hallway and grabs the knife and the key that they left on the table right there by the door. Alexis, who was hiding just around the corner and was about to go get that knife and key, can't now because, of course, Chloe is beating her to it. So she's like bummed. Chloe heads back to the kitchen. Frankie is at this point offering to Danielle to go check the fuse box since the power's still out. I bet Frankie would know the right one to turn on.
Yeah, I think Frankie has it on down pat.
Yeah. But Danielle says, no, we're good. We're getting ready to turn in for the night anyway. Frankie says, okay, and turns around. And as she turns around, Chloe is right there. Chloe stabs her in the gut real hard, grabs her around her shoulder and shoves it right in there, twists it. She's being pretty brutal. She has no problem anymore with this death thing.
Oh, no, not at all.
So after she totally guts Frankie, Danielle, cool as ever, says, "Good job, Chloe." Like it was a math quiz. I was She's totally unfazed by any of this. I feel like Danielle's killed a lot of people. She
Yeah.
acts like she's done this before. So then we cut back to Alexis, who has freaks out because she sees what happens and she runs back upstairs. Then we go to Danielle and Chloe in the kitchen, and she's wiping the blood off of Chloe, telling her, "You did great. We'll head back to LA tonight. You're finally going to get everything you ever wanted." Chloe just starts whispering her mantra. This is the point where she's like, just go over and over again. "Nothing stands between me and all of my desires." Over and over. She keeps saying this like she's in a trance. Now Alexis is up in the room where the golf clubs were. She grabs one, heads back out. She's up at the top landing of the stairs, and she's standing there waiting and watching as Danielle and Chloe are heading up. Danielle's yelling out to Alexis, trying to manipulate her again, telling her she needs to let go of her control issues, embrace the chaos, lean into her destiny. Basically, more of the same self help garbage she's been pushing this whole time. Then Alexis charges out and swings the golf club, but she misses Danielle and nails Chloe, knocking her down the stairs. Chloe's dead. Now we just have Danielle and Alexis. So they're at the top of the stairs, and Danielle, they're wrestling over this golf club. Eventually, Alexis lets go and just runs for it. Danielle chases her. Alexis locks herself in a bedroom and tries to open the window, but of course, it's hermetically sealed and can't be opened.
I feel
And
like we've seen that scene before.
Yes. There's a lot of repetitive things in these movies. Danielle starts pounding on the door, shifting gears into manipulation mode again. "We don't have to be enemies, Alexis. You just need to change your life." And Alexis is still frantically trying to figure out how to get out of this room. Danielle finally busts through the door, and as soon as she gets in the door, her attitude changes from "we can work this out" to "if you thought for 1 second I was going to admit to Kelsey's death, you're a bigger fucking idiot than I thought." Just boom. Like,
Yeah, it just switches.
right. So Alexis starts throwing pillows at her. Guess just to distract her.
Maybe they were heavy pillows.
They're like weighted pillows.
Yes.
As Danielle continues to unload on Alexis, she's like, "I'm fucking rich. People worship me. This is just the beginning. I'm going to have magazines, TV shows, movies. I'm going to be in movies. You think I'm going to throw that away?" They start brawling again, back on the floor. Alexis is shouting, "You ruined my life. You took everything from me. I got stuck with this," meaning her star, I assume. Danielle fires back, "You really think you're supposed to be me? You're a loser. You're invisible." And she totally sounds like a bully. Like I can absolutely picture her saying this in high school.
Oh, of course.
So she says they wrestle their way over towards the window. Danielle slams her against it, holding her by the shoulder, screaming, "You'll never have what I have. You're nothing. You're nothing." And as she keeps beating her against the window, the glass starts cracking. So apparently they can give way after some constant beating, or maybe just with the head. I don't know. At some point, though, the power shifts and Alexis gains control over Danielle. And she says, "I control my destiny. I control everything. I control what I let go." And of course, Danielle is now flipped the other way and she's up against the window. And Alexis shoves Danielle through the window. Danielle falls to her death into the pool. And it's very reminiscent of the flashbacks of the other, which I'm assuming is Kelsey in the
Yeah.
flashbacks, who jumps out the window and lands in the pool. So then we get this moment of silence. Alexis stands there in shock. She's, breathing heavily. She seems stunned. She turns to a nearby mirror and slowly walks towards it. She stares at her reflection. She wipes the blood from her face, and the sun starts coming up, I guess.
Yes.
Okay, because it just suddenly starts getting bright.
Yeah,
She
because remember, there was no power.
Right, but it wasn't that long ago that it was just midnight. It felt like. So, it seemed this took place over at least what, 6 or 7 hours maybe?
Yes.
Unless it comes up, they could be in some parts of Maine where it comes up at like 4 o'clock in the
Right.
morning.
Yep.
But they weren't, they were out, and where were they?
I think
Did they
I mean, wherever Cary Grant's house was, probably California.
Right, but she kept telling her that she was gonna go out to LA tonight. They could have just driven there. Maybe they were somewhere in California just not close to LA. And she drove there, so maybe they were in driving distance. They were obviously in California, I guess, yeah. Then she gives herself this tiny smirk, like, "Oh, I've got a plan," or "I figured something out," or she's just happy that Danielle's fucking dead.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I
So then
win.
yeah, right. Then we hard cut to a cheery morning talk show. The same host who introduced Danielle at the beginning is back, the one whose name I can't remember.
And she's just as annoying.
Yes. She's like, "Hey, friends. By now, I'm sure you've heard that our beloved Danielle from Get Well, Danielle, tragically passed away on New Year's Day. But here to remember her today is her best friend, Alexis." So now we see Alexis, and she's just glowing. She's
Yep.
totally different from what she was before. Her hair's done, her makeup's perfect, she looks happy.
Yep, like,
Sh
it's her life.
Right. She's a totally different person because she was very drab and blah before. Now
Yes.
she's got a blowout. She looks
Sunshine
great.
happy.
Right. But she looks like a whole new person. She's not drained. She's not haunted like she's seen before. So she starts talking about how wonderful Danielle was and what an amazing legacy she left behind. The official story is that she decided to go with the jealous lover narrative that Danielle came up with when Frankie showed up. So Danielle had convinced Kayla to break up with Frankie because the relationship was toxic. And Frankie showed up at the house in a jealous rage and tried to kill everyone, and it did kill everyone. Alexis is sticking to that script.
Yes.
The host asks Alexis what she wants people to know about Danielle. Alexis puts on the waterworks, fake tears and all, and says, "She was a wonderful person, and I know she would just want me to move through this and live my fullest life." Then snap, she switches from grief to peppy inspiration. "This experience has taught me so much, especially about the value of self defense."
And these are the ingredients that you use.
Right. Cue the upbeat music. The sad tone instantly flips to cheerful. The host says, "That's right. You're going to show us how to make DIY pepper spray from household items." They're all laughing now, just casually prepping chili flakes, vinegar, red chili powder, whatever, putting on goggles and gloves. Turns out all it takes to bounce back from a murder spree is a little blush, a blowout, and a BuzzFeed style life hack. And that's the end. What are your thoughts?
This one was tough to get through. It really was. I mean, Kayla was the only character, I mean, outside of Frankie, but I don't really count Frankie,
Right.
was the only one that was somewhat redeemable.
Right. Yes. Mhm.
Because she was kind of like the moral compass. Like, hey, we're going too far. Like, I agreed to up to a certain limit and we're going beyond that limit. But I mean, even still, she agreed to do all of this, like, not knowing what was going to happen, but she
Right.
still agreed to torture her to get, this confession. So
Mhm.
really, nobody was all that redeemable.
Yeah.
Just Danielle, just pissing me off, with
Right.
with the fakeness and then, the lack of boundaries and the pushing and the pushing.
Right.
And there were times when I liked Alexis, but then like when she started like going too far, it's
Yeah.
just like, now she's just as gross as this one,
Right. Yeah.
you
And
know?
especially with that turn at the end,
Yeah.
that didn't help her at all.
But I don't know. This one was not a favorite of mine.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. For me, I mean, I wouldn't say it's campy, but it has like, nah, not that either. Uh, I don't know. I mean, it was not a favorite of mine either. I mean, it was good, but it was good in that way. I'm trying to think of the word I'm looking for. It was good in that way of like kind of
Tolerable?
non non-thinking, and like the first watch through, I was like, "Okay, yeah, this was it was kind of like fun." I don't know if fun is the word I'm looking for, but it had that just what's the word I'm looking for, Dan?
It was somewhat enjoyable.
No.
No.
Like, the first time I
And
watched it, it was like, "Oh, okay." I mean, it was like, there were some parts that I laughed at because and I don't know, there were some parts I thought were kind of funny just in some ways, and how it was I guess it was kinda campy a little bit because it was just so over the top in
yeah,
places. I guess because Danielle was so much and so over the top,
yeah,
and you're really rooting this is one of those movies where you're rooting for someone to kill her. Like,
yes.
you want her gone. You want somebody to beat the shit out of her, to harm
Shut
her
her
in every way possible.
right, and to shut her up.
Right. And of course, in the beginning, I loved Chloe. She was fun. She was exuberant. She had a lot of energy. She was probably a, good time to hang out with. And then of course, it was annoying that she changed so quickly and
I was
so
gonna
easily
say,
turned on her
God,
friends.
God damn, did she switch too fast?
Right. And I guess the second time I watched it, I was like, it's so shallow. Like everyone except for Kayla basically was very shallow.
Yes.
And it was like, yeah, I might not really care about any of these people except for Kayla. I was bummed that Kayla died and
Yeah,
Frankie.
because Kayla was the only one that was like, "Why do you need $5,000 boots?"
Right.
And then when they're walking through the water, it's like, "This is why you don't buy $5,000 boots."
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
And I went to the 99-cent store and got these balloons.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she was just like the more practical one of
Right.
everybody, and
Yeah, she's the only one that had any depth, I guess, is
yeah,
really but I could see how, like, if you weren't really paying attention to the movie, if you were flipping through channels and it came on and you kinda got caught up in watching it, I could see how you would finish watching it, like, "Oh, this is, like, just some fun, dumb movie," whatever. And I really hated this especially the second time I watched it, I was like, "Oh my god, these long shot." It was slow sometimes in ways that weren't because I understand, like, a buildup to some extent when you have a slowness because 'cause you're building tension and everything, and there was a slowness to this movie at points that I was like, this is slow," and then, of course, they had the long lingering shots that were so obvious, which I didn't like at all. I was like, "Really? Do we have to" It's almost like they thought we were dumb. Like, we're just as dumb as these characters are. So, like, the first time through, it was like, "Oh, I can see where this could be fun, wasted afternoon movie," as I'm flipping through the channels. But then the second time I watched it, I was like, "Ugh, these characters suck," and that kinda things. Yeah, I mean, it
yeah.
was and I actually watched this probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, but I remembered none of it, and I watched it not that long ago, so I'm like, it must not left much of a stamp on me back then either, because
Yeah.
I didn't remember any of this movie, like, in this way, so,
Yeah,
anyway.
I don't know. I think when I mean, not that we're like tearing apart like completely, but like when
Uh-huh.
you're looking at it in an analyzing sort of way, you start to pick up like, oh my God, like this is just
Right,
shallow. It's crap. And,
right.
you
But, of
know,
course, I guess it's meant to be that way. I think that that's kind of the point of it is to show how that type of lifestyle and that type of person when you're an influencer and you're doing that's kind of that's probably what they were trying to show is how
yeah,
shallow and how over the top because Danielle, her character, of course, from the time she walked in, was so over the top with how everything was amazing and oh my god, you're amazing and I'm so proud of everything you do and you're so great and all of that stuff. But yeah, how quick she could turn that off and be the real her and how devious and evil and maniacal and manipulative she really was and that she probably used all of those tools to get to where she is. So I'm sure the movie was meant to be that way, where they were, and of course, the person that you're supposed to like, Alexis, that you're supposed to be rooting for because of everything that happened and what she went through. And now she wants to show the world what Danielle's really like. She's no fucking different. She just went and took over her spot and now she's trying to be an influencer as well. And you have the same thing, unfortunately, that Danielle had. So they're all kind of pathetic in that way. And I'm sure that was the whole point was that we were supposed to walk away from it feeling like, ugh.
yeah.
So they did a good job of that.
Oh, yeah, they did a great job of that.
So, but anyway, so how many cents do you give this movie?
Four,
Yeah.
4 cents on this one.
I was gonna go I was pretty much on the same line as, the IMDb rating. I was gonna give it a 5 because
Uh,
I didn't hate it, but I could it did leave me feeling annoyed, and again, it's probably how we were supposed to feel. So, I
yeah.
will at least give it a 5,
Yeah,
'cause it
fair
did
enough.
do that. So, anything else you would like to add?
I think we can put a sock on it.
Alright, sock applied. And that wraps up New Year, New You, a film that reminds us all sometimes self improvement just means cutting a few people out of your life with a literal knife. If you're feeling inspired to manifest a better version of yourself, maybe start with a planner, not a kidnapping. Next week, we're keeping the influencer theme going with another cautionary tale of curated chaos. What is it, Dan? Do we know?
Yep, no, it's Deadstream.
Deadstream. Okay.
I believe it's on Shutter. It's
Mhm.
about a washed up influencer who's trying to regain his followers back by going into a severely haunted house.
All right, so get ready because this month's all about followers, filters, and fatal flaws. And as usual, until then, be scared, be prepared, and don't get caught in the dark.